Evolve 360, a holistic approach to life, is an exploration of learning through experience to transform individually and culturally as a whole by taking a 360-degree look at our quality of life, including the limiting beliefs, worn-out paradigms, and destructive habits that have led us to where we are today, and to instead create or revolutionize a new life vision that brings greater peace, appreciation, fulfillment, clarity, happiness, and joy as we ultimately evolve. So in this episode, Shelley and I are going to discuss our life on pause and how getting back to our lives, at least the way we knew it before COVID-19, well, that's in the past, and about how we move forward to embracing a new normal. Welcome to Evolve 360, Shelley Shell Show, with hosts
Cheli Grace
and Shelley Devine. Hey, soul sister, welcome back.
Hey, how are you? I'm telling you, this new normal is just crazy. It has totally got me turned inside and out. And I wanted to share something with you because you've known me for a very long time and you know that I'm all about my hair and makeup. But here's the new thing for me, which is really, and it's upside down. I'm not wearing makeup anymore when I leave my house because, you know, you got this mask going on and I'm thinking, I'm not going to wear lipstick with a mask. And then you've got...
Oh, yeah, that would be like, ugh, and then it's all over it, right?
I know, right?
Why do you wear lipstick with a mask?
I know, what's the point? So I have no lipstick, I have no makeup. Wow. But what's crazy is when I'm in my house, I'm fully made up. Isn't that insane?
Your husband must love it.
He does. But it's like, you know how we always used to just take a moment and make sure that, you know, you were ready to go, you know, your makeup, everything. And now it's like, why wear makeup when you leave the house? You got to wear your mask. So I just find that like this inside out thing is just, for me, it's a whole new normal.
It's kind of a flip of the coin.
Living, right?
Yeah, it's totally a full flip of the coin.
Totally.
Yeah, do you have a nice mask? I have a bandana.
I know you. Well, you know me, of course. I have more than one. And one of the local girls here, I bought a couple from a bridal shop that immediately stopped doing wedding dresses and got totally into mask production.
Oh, wow.
And they were really nice. I have one with little, I'll have to bring it next time.
Yeah, I want to see it because I need to order something. I don't have anything that's like, you know, stylish.
Oh, I've got a girl to hook you up with. But
okay.
When one of my local girls, she's doing some really cool ones. They're not expensive. And what I like about it, because when you get masks, they don't sometimes fit very well. Okay. But she's like, do the measurements, you text her the measurements, and she custom makes them for you.
Oh, that's
Isn't that cool?
Really good. Yeah.
And you get to like pick your material. You could have one for every day of the week. I mean,
so you could have a furry one. That would be ridiculous, but
I know.
You could have like nice fabric and stuff too.
Yes, she does. Polka dots and whatever you want.
Oh, cool.
So this is instead of lipstick, we're wearing masks.
Yeah, nice. So, I like it. I like it. Very cool.
I know.
So let's set an intention for the show.
All right. Today we're talking about the new normal. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to set an intention to let our fear, our old beliefs leave, and let's set an intention for opening up your mind to receive whatever it is that you're going to get out of this show today and to help you move in the direction that you need to go, which is forward. So let's do that.
Moving forward. I love it. That sounds
good.
Moving forward. Yeah. Call in spirit, divine, whatever your whatever you think the universe is about, you know, if it's God, Christ, universal life force energy, prana, chi, whatever it is, call that in. Call it in.
And help them guide you. Because this is a time that we're living right now that we have to have a lot of faith.
Mm.
And sometimes when we're going through chaos and we're going through all these changes, you can't rationalize them and you can't put meaning to them. You just have to kind of go with the flow, totally go with the flow.
Yeah.
You know, I live in Miami, and a lot of times when you go to the beach, there's undertows. And the first thing they tell you is don't ever try and swim against it. You have to go with it. You have to flow. Because if you swim against it or you try to get out of it,
You're exhausted.
and you can drown.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can drown. You can lose your life because you're struggling and you're giving all your energy to try and control something that is totally out of your control. You don't
That's
have
such a great analogy. Abraham Hicks talks about that, going with the flow, go downstream instead of upstream. So in your life, if you're like battling, you know, pushing the stone up the mountain.
Oh my gosh.
No, pre-pave your life so you're not pushing the stone up the mountain. Start to think and get your emotions in line, your thoughts in line of what you really desire, and feel it, and just allow it to come in and happen.
You have to.
And then you'll be on your little canoe, settling downstream, you know.
There you go. Relax.
Instead of going, like you just said, against the tide or the
current.
The current.
Against the current.
Have you ever had that happen before? I've had it happen. It's unbelievable. Not in the ocean, but in a river. And I was injured at the time. This is years ago. This is kind of a funny story. We were going down the Saco River in canoes. I was with an old boyfriend. This was like when I was in maybe high school or something. Uh-huh. And I had injured my finger at work. So I had like this big bandage. It happened to be this finger. So I would go around, you know, for all you wait people that are out there, you know, service people or whatever, I was waiting on tables with my finger all wrapped up in a big bandage, going to a table. Can I take your order? Because I couldn't put my hand down. It throbbed so bad. So anyways, we're in the canoes, and my boyfriend at the time really didn't know how to navigate the canoe. All right. So we had like lunches and beer and everything. And we're with his brother and his wife, and they're in another canoe, and we're going down the stream, and across the stream, there's this big log in the way. And it was like a tree. It had fallen down during a storm, and it was across the river.
And you couldn't see it. Oh my gosh.
And so you could see it, but what you couldn't see is you know, you couldn't go underneath it. You had to like glide over it with the canoe. Wow. And so the current was so fast that our canoe, because he couldn't really navigate it, turned sideways and then tipped, and the canoe started to fill up with water. So you have a canoe braced up against a tree, and you have this current coming at you, and you're like, uh-oh, roadblock. How do I deal with this? So everything's falling out of the canoe going downstream. We end up falling out of the canoe. And God forbid, if we had gone under, you know, the tree is underneath and all the branches are underneath, we could have. Oh,
you could have get stuck and died.
And I had to keep my hand above water. So I'm treading water. It's all over with one hand, with my hand.
That's funny.
You know, right? And so anyways, the guys, what they did is they didn't know that the branches were all underneath. So they're like pushing the canoe underneath, and they're thinking that's going to pop out the other side. But meanwhile, there's all these branches of the tree underneath. So it's all tangled.
Oh my God. And water's coming in, right?
And water's coming in. So they get it finally out. But I'm like trying to swim against the current, getting to the side. And you can't.
With your finger like this.
Like this. And I'm like trying paddling for dear life. I mean, you could have typically, you know, like drowning was definitely up there. But anyways, the funny part of the story is, you know, like, don't do that. and
no way.
They ended up getting the canoe underneath. It popped back out miraculously. You know, like, it took us a long time to do it. It popped out eventually. It was bent in half, and we made it downstream. And needless to say, the people that owned the canoe never wanted to see us again because we broke their canoe. But it was like, you got to know a little bit of what you're doing before you get in that canoe. You got to know how to navigate it. And
You
he
got
really,
that right.
to avoid those trees. Like his brother got over it, no, fine, but we didn't. I'm like, backpedal,
Oh my God. You're like, hold up, let me get in that canoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice knowing you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up doing that. I was like trying to tell him from the front, but like it didn't work out. It was an ordeal.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah.
But that's a great story, and it's a great way of sharing with our audience exactly how that feels. If you haven't been in that situation, I used to scuba dive a long time ago, and it's the same thing. You always scuba, you dive into the current, against the current, because that way when you're exhausted and you're done, the current takes you back to the boat, and there's a tow line.
Oh, I didn't know.
And yes, because the current and just like undertows can be the force of nature is so powerful, as you experienced in the canoe, that if you try to go against it, it'll crush you. It'll crush you. And this is kind of where we're at right now. We're with this pause, and we're trying to cling and scramble and just like hang on to what we knew, what was our truth, or what we knew, what was part of our lives. And some of those things are not going to be there. They're not there. They're going away. Yeah. So we have to embrace and go with the flow, because you can't control what you can't control. Yeah. And we definitely can't control this.
No, not at all.
Totally out of our control.
Completely out of our control.
Yeah. Which
is interesting, because it's like, okay, we're probably most likely a lot of us control freaks in our, and especially in this country. Right. And how do we move forward with all this uncertainty and we don't have any control over it, other than how we respond or react or relate to the situation in our home environment.
Right. And this is a time where we have talked about this before, and we're going to continue talking about this, because we're ever evolving, and our world is evolving. We're evolving. We're part of the world. And it's a time where, just think about it. If you're building a house, it has to crumble down to build new. And things are happening. We are growing. We are shedding what no longer serves us. And
history. We're shedding history.
Yes, we're shedding history, and history always repeats itself. Yeah. But as it does, we take it to another level.
Well, do you think it repeats itself because we haven't quite gotten the lesson?
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And usually our worlds have been purged of things with wars. And, I was reading the other day about World War II and how that was, it really annihilated a lot of the world. But then we birthed again, and that was part of the birth of the American dream. Yeah. And all of this prosperity came about, and all of this new came about. But to get to there, we had to let go, and a lot of things crumbled that no longer served us. And I think this is where we're at right now. What no longer serves you, no longer serves humanity, is this being shed. Yeah. And it's hard for us to understand that, because we tend to be control freaks. We tend to want to have our world in a certain way. Yeah. And that way doesn't work right now.
Yeah. It's kind of like shedding certain beliefs that no longer serve. Beliefs are a creation. Beliefs are a creation of what we think, what we choose to put our values on, and then they manifest, not just individually, but collectively amongst the whole, if there's enough momentum behind them, enough group thought behind them.
Yes, they do.
So it's this COVID-19 really speaks on this level of, from the individual and our own responsibility to what we've manifested globally. We have to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
For our planet.
Yeah, we do have to take responsibility.
Yeah, and the history thing is so fascinating when you start to talk about that. Like, back, a lot of good things came out of, say, a lot of, not so good things happened during those world wars. But one of the interesting things when we get back to archetypes is if you look on kind of the greater level of, say, government wise. We had a president at the time, and Carolyn Myss, I love when she puts
I love
it
her.
together.
Yeah.
And she's like, we had a president that was crippled, and our, you know, and then our economy became crippled with the Depression, and we were victims. We felt victimized. A crippled is kind of like being a victim. And then
Yes.
we came out of that, you know, we came out of that we changed the banking systems, and we innovated and created things out of chaos,
Yes.
you know, and that's what's basically happening now. Maybe our healthcare situation is going to improve tremendously, you know, because of this.
I think so. And a lot of times we do have to go through chaos. We're going to talk more about this with divorce and with, you know, going into the underworld and your shadow, and how you have to shed what no longer serves you, because we're ever evolving.
Yeah.
You know, just think back 10 or 20 years ago. Our world was different. We were different. The technology that we have today, we didn't have before. And that has totally changed everything in our lives. One of the bad things that I really don't like about it is that we can't disconnect. So I'm grateful for this pause, because it's allowed me to just take a chill and not be so connected with all the social media and the tech aspects of before. Because I have purged a lot of things on social media. You know, you start organizing your closet and your drawers, and then you're like, I'm going to organize not only my phone contacts, but maybe, you know, Facebook people, or, you know, LinkedIn people that I have, that sometimes you have people on there you don't even know who.
Yeah.
So you become more discerning. And I think discernment is a word for the times right now.
Absolutely.
You
know, it's really funny too, is all this hunkering down and being on our phones. I think in the beginning of it, I saw this meme when everybody was like outside and taking walks, you know, like, and they weren't like, usually you see people with their phone and they're looking at their phone and they're text messaging. That's how you would see people outside. Then they were told, oh, now you can't go outside. Oh, I'm walking outside. I'm out every 5 seconds. I'm going to be in your face, you know, like, I just thought it was so funny how human nature is like, you tell them they can't do something, man, they're going to be right on it. I want to do that.
Exactly.
You know, so funny.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm like that too, but I'm like, geez.
Well, I was like, I was hunkering down, because I was like, you know, I just don't know. You just don't know, like, what to hear anymore, what to understand. There's so much information that you just don't know what. So it's always better when there's chaos, and right now there is a lot of chaos going on, is to go within. And my within is not only my house, but within me, and start thinking about things, you know, your belief system. What do you believe? You know, what aren't you going to like do? And, you know, we're going to dive deeper into another segment, because we've been talking about that, and just things that no longer served us in, you know, in our lives, that now moving forward, you know, why be attached to something that can't let you grow? And that's something that I want all of you guys to think about. You know, what are you attaching yourself to that isn't part of your truth anymore? And it's not allowing you to move forward and let you grow. And sometimes we have to go through pain to be able to see it and to be able to walk on the other side. And it's not easy. And if you have faith and you walk in faith, as you do that walk, you're going to find that as you shed what no longer serves you, and that might be your marriage, it might be friends, it might be your jobs, it might be a multitude of things. But in the end, you look back and you see that you are a different person, and you couldn't get to where you are if you hadn't gone through that.
Yeah, some of the things to ask, you know, when we're referring to your beliefs, are questions like, how does this belief feel? Or where did I acquire this belief? Did it come from someone else? You know, like, you know, your culture, your religious backgrounds, government, your teachers, your parents. Is it somehow, you know, that you just acquired it and grew up with it, that you don't really know where it came from? Or is it a perception you gathered all on your own from, you know, in esoterically, like when we're children, we learn things by mimicking.
Right.
And we might get a sense of something. This is me, for example. I can remember thinking that women don't have a say in this world. And I got that message really early on when I couldn't play baseball with the boys because I was a girl.
Oh.
I couldn't play on a baseball team. And meanwhile, we would play in the field. I'd play against the best, guys that were
knowing you were
Little
like
League baseball. And I couldn't play on their team. I couldn't be included in that because I was a girl. And that stuck with me.
Wow.
Until until I probably had my daughter, and then it dawned on me, and I was like, oh my God, this is something that our culture has instigated. I mean, I couldn't play soccer. Nowadays it's changed. I mean, young girls get to play soccer with the boys, and I mean, all that changed. But when I was a little girl, that didn't, and it followed me through life, and I had to dismantle that belief. And I mean, it was a deep dive in to figure out what's going on here. Why do I have these negative, kind of, and it'll branch out. Like one little belief will branch out, and I don't necessarily know how I got it. I was just told no, and that's how. And it wasn't like anything that I thought about. It was just like, oh, girls can't. They're not. And then too, job wise.
Job wise.
There was only, like you didn't see too many female physicians at the time.
Right.
Or lawyers. It was always male physicians.
Right.
So women,
the male dominated
were nurses. And so if you had that, and depending on, what your family was telling you too, and culturally, it reinforces a belief that may not serve. And those are just
gosh, you got that right. And I'm Cuban, so you could just imagine like all the cultures, and all of our cultures have different things. And this is funny because when I was growing up in my culture, if you ate like food, you couldn't go swimming for 2 hours because God forbid you'd have a stroke in the pool, and you grew up with these beliefs, and you're thinking, where did this come from? And I remember I was in my 20s, and I was like, hold up, this isn't serving me. This isn't cool. Why am I still following these patterns?
Right.
And you feel guilty when you start and you're like, well, maybe if I go in the water, something's going to happen to me. And it's like, no, it's not. Right. And it's part of your belief system that you have to unpack, and you have to see the truth behind it and how it got to your, your reality. Yeah. And I've unpacked a lot of my cultural stuff because, it just depends. And it's like, well, I'm the man of the house. And like my dad used to run around like, I'm the man of the house and you're going to do this because I say so. And it's like, but wait a second, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But so, why are we continuing to
hate,
believe in these things?
Why are we continuing to hate? There's so many segments in our culture.
Right.
And, for differences that people may have. And I'll speak about my own and how I would see, and, my empath would come out. But when you're younger, this is where you develop some of these foundational belief systems that need to be rooted out. And
they're deep. And
they're deep.
Not easy to get out.
They're deep. And they're culturally, they're different, like, I'm just going to talk about the United States. Different areas in the United States will have, belief systems about like, gay people.
Right.
And where they will hate on gay people. I mean, granted, things have changed since the AIDS epidemic and stuff, where we're more open and out. The victim is not maybe kind of being so, like, people of those segments aren't being so as it was like back in the 80s or something, or even beyond that, where you were more in fear for your life if you were gay. You were in fear of being excommunicated from family. I mean, so many things that have happened. It's horrible, but we still have that is still happening. There's still arguments about that. There was gay marriage in the last, maybe 10 years, whether or not to have it. What the hell do we care? if people of that preference want to do that. It's the same thing with, like, women not being able to vote. We got that back in, like, women started coming up with, being able to vote. However, women of different color backgrounds, they're on the, the down low down the totem pole, because they might have been Black females or women of color females. And it's like, why do we still see people in those hateful lights as being inferior somehow because of beliefs,
stereotypes and
stereotypes? And we need to, those need to dismantle.
And there's so much
time.
I agree.
Time for that to dismantle.
Well, people are people, and it doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
People are people, and we all need to start looking at each other as that.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we're at a point in our lives where we just have to unpack everything that is not true, that doesn't serve us.
Yeah.
Because what kind of a world do we want to create? And this is what this show, Shelley and I have decided to do this, because we want to, get you thinking. Yeah. We want to talk about life raw and unplugged, and it's part of our lives. And yes, we're going to go through a lot of pain right now. Things, and I keep saying it, you have to be creative. You have to go with the flow. You have to trust. You have to have faith. Yeah. Because it's just going to be different. I, for one, I just got off the phone earlier today with a friend of mine who's involved in education, and I was involved in education, in the traditional sense of education. And I worry about the kids. It's like, my goodness, I worry about them going back to school, being involved in sports and playing sports. And that's so much of growing up. And I just hope that we'll be able to transcend that. And, we'll be able to find a new normal so that kids can interact, because it's so important with social development to be able to interact, especially when you're small.
Yeah, we're shaping minds.
Yes. Minds. We were talking about what schools are going to look like moving forward. Yeah. And I know it's just, so you have to keep an open mind. But it's just a time where we just need to sit and think about what no longer serves us, during this pause. And I know where I live.
Yeah. And how do you know, like, what no longer serves? It's like you have to get into your own system and feel the emotions of.
You have to feel it. Exactly.
And empathize what you might be, the other person might be feeling.
Right.
Like, if you say or do your actions, your words, if they harm someone, you have to be aware. You have to start being aware of that. And it's on all levels, in your household, in your school, education wise, in your whatever career, and how you're working among people. This is one of the things that this pandemic, it's like we're all one, we're all feeling it, right? Everybody on the planet pretty much is feeling this, isolation. And then two, how do we interact with one another now? Because we have something seriously in common.
Right. The whole world, everybody has the same thing in common, which is, how do we move forward? How do we interact? How do we still have our connections? I mean, I'm a huggy, kissy kind of person. And now it's like, air kiss, air hug, air kiss, air hug. But, the other day, somebody sent me, it was on Facebook. It was, this grandma that they built this like shield so she can go and hug her grandkids, because a hug is so delicious. I love getting hugged by my friends, and it's just such a sign of just that interaction with another human being. But what is that going to look like? And I just, I have faith that we're going to reach a time where we're going to go back to, being more interactive with each other. But this is a time of just like a butterfly. You go into the cocoon, and you just have to reshape yourself. And I was reading about that, because I've always loved like the butterfly, and how the caterpillar just transforms into that beautiful butterfly, and how it goes into this cocoon. And the butterfly effect is something that has happened, and it's about us moving forward in a very, very, small way. And, there's a saying that says, with unfolding wings, we transcend our own limits.
Mm.
And I always think of the butterfly with that, because as the butterfly gets out of that cocoon, it just opens up its wings, and it's beautiful. But it wasn't a cocoon for a long time. It's like us being in
We're in our
isolation,
cocoon.
in lockdown in our cocoon.
Lockdown. Yeah.
Just looking at, what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's these small changes that make a difference.
Big effects. Small changes add big effects.
Right.
I remember Carolyn Myss talking about that. What's in the micro? It's like the mustard seed, what we talked about in the last episode. The mustard seed effect. It like has a wave that will keep extending, and so on and so on and so on. And same with the butterfly. That doesn't that affect the weather or something? The butterfly flaps its wings, and it, you'll feel the ripple down, and it'll change the weather down in, whatever happens up here, we got a butterfly, it'll change the weather down in Miami.
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's part of this journey of transformation that we're on, and we can't explain it. We can't wrap our brains around it, because we're very scientific when it comes to things. And we want to have answers right away. And as we know, our world is in total chaos, and nobody knows, where this came from. Well, they speculate, right? But where did it really come from? And are we going to get a vaccine? What's happening? So we're in this transformational stage where we have to just readjust, and in the process, move forward. And what's that going to look like for you? What are you going to do differently? The past is gone. It's never going to come back.
Yeah. Not the way
it
was.
Live in the
That's
present.
for sure. Yeah.
No, exactly. You have to live in the present. Yeah. Every moment is the present time where you need to be. Yeah. And that's your mind. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or you have all these regrets. You got to let them go.
Yeah.
You got to let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how you say that. It's like, we don't know where we are, where we're going. No. Like individually, a lot of people, I was just off on a call with a client of mine, and she's just, she's had a business and stuff, very successful. And now it's like, whoop. And she doesn't know what's next for her. And, the answer is you got to go inside and say, because, she wants to feel valuable and fulfilled. And right now she felt those things maybe with her last, her job, but that seems to be, coming to, there's no direction for her in that. So it's like, you got to take, the good things out of it, and then start to go in and say, hey, what wasn't working maybe?
Right.
And how can I improve upon this? And how can I serve, or what am I being maybe called to do now?
Right.
Where can I feel fulfillment? Maybe it's, volunteering for something, or
and you never know. If
somebody out there might need some of my skills, and how can I feel, valuable. Exactly. Valuable, because I can't stand sitting in my home alone now, one more day. But you have to kind of suck it up and say, okay, this is where we're at.
You have to be uncomfortable, and it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
Again, you have no control of what's happening. You can't just pick up the phone and say, okay, connect me, let me, no, you've got to stop, and you've got to see where you're at, where your life has been. How do you want to show up again? What no longer serves you? And the best way is to go within and to feel it. And I talked about what happened to me the other day. I had a headhunter call me to go back into a big corporate. It was going to be stressful. And during the interview, I just started feeling like, oh my gosh, like just the whole energy of it. didn't serve me anymore. I've been there. I don't want to do that anymore. So, and a lot of times we just compromise that, and we just do it out of fear and out of having control.
Yeah. Well,
You realize, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done?
Well, and two, it sets off greater stress.
Oh, totally.
These are things, that, start to be honest with yourself as you're going in. I mean, have you had diminished, being home at home, are you feeling anxiety, or has your anxiety subsided? Why is that subsided? Or, if you're in a profession that, you felt anxious or stressed out, or your energy is just being sucked the life out of you for whatever it is you're doing. And you're like, maybe that's not happening now. Maybe you're feeling, oh, I'm really rested and I have a little more energy to go and learn something new, something that I always wanted to do and I just haven't found the time to do it. Well, go do that.
Exactly.
If you have a thought going in your head and it hasn't left, something's telling you that, well, maybe I should look at that, and
your thoughts, you need to listen to your thoughts. And when you're afraid, say a prayer. Whatever prayer is going to help you, say something, talk to whoever you talk to that is greater than ourselves, and listen, because a lot of times we get hits. Like Carolyn used to say, you get a hit.
Yeah.
And that hit is your intuition, but it's your higher self telling you, hey, maybe this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe you're supposed to be doing this.
I got a story for that.
Okay,
so listen. Okay, in my backyard, all right, there's my grandmother had planted I live in a condo, so typically the groundskeepers take care of everything, but there's this segment of land behind my condo that my grandmother used to take care of, and years ago it had all these beautiful flowers, all this stuff down there. Well, it's so overgrown now, and the trees were up, and then there's like these weeds and stuff all through it.
I can only imagine what you did.
Yeah. Well, just listen, you're gonna die laughing. So over the winter time, actually it was last year, just before, like, say, it was probably in November, we had a big windstorm and a massive tree came down. I was here in the living room. You never seen somebody like run out of their house so fast.
Oh,
I mean, like, it was scary. It was like a huge tree. Missed the house by inches. Okay. So they cleaned that up. Finally, months later, the beginning of March, before this COVID-19, thing, lockdown, the tree guys came, pulling out this big, huge tree, over the house and down, and then loading up like a big, huge truck of huge logs and stuff. Wow. So that went. So anyways, in the meantime, it's a mess back there. And so we had our first sunny day. I'm on the deck and I'm taking a nap. I had a full day. I was like and I'm just like soaking up the sun. I was like, it's finally nice out, sunny, it's warm. And I get this epiphany. This is about, listening, and it said, go buy a chainsaw.
You gotta be kidding me.
No! And I'm like, handled a flippin' chainsaw ever. All right. I've done like,
you are my hero
and stuff. And I'm like, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe Martha Stewart has a chainsaw for girls,
I wonder about designer, right? I love it.
An electric one or something, like not like a gasoline one.
Like 300 pounds, but I could see you do that, girl, because you're my warrior,
So the trees were calling me, okay? The trees were calling me, okay? The ones that were all covered in these vines, weighted down, like, all right. So I get online, I go and I look on Home
chainsaw during this pandemic.
Home Depot, okay? Like I go up and I'm looking and I'm like looking, and they got like a $50 chainsaw that you plug in. It's lightweight plastic kind of thing, like,
wow.
I was like, damn. So ordered it online, drove up the next day. The order was ready. That was oil, picked it up, came back home. Wow. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell am I doing? Because I got scared, like I got really scared.
You can cut some serious limbs there, girl. Not forget the finger.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like, oh man, do I really want to do this? Well, I got out there. I was out there all morning from 8:30 or something till about 1 in the afternoon,
God.
getting rid of these weeds. And there was other trees that are like, you couldn't just, you couldn't, if you had a saw, like a hand saw, it would take forever. So I got out there, I did this, and what do I find? Okay. And this is where I was listening to, for months, this was like coming to me, like months prior to.
Like buy a chainsaw,
No, not the chainsaw. was plant some birch trees back here. Plant some birch trees. Well, it wasn't plant birch trees. It was like, after I cleared stuff out, what did I find? All these birch trees, like a cluster of them, that were being weighted down and bogged down, and now they're all like coming up. They're free. They're like, about like, this wide. And I was like, I really think they're birch trees. And they're framing the house perfectly, some on one side and there's a few down on the other side. And there was also these flowering trees that were encumbered. One's like, I think it might be a crabapple tree. There was another one that is, listen to this one, like, I think it's like a Japanese olive tree, which there's nothing like that around here. Those are usually found in potted plants or whatever. Nothing like that around here. So I was like, I got this nice little garden.
Oh, maybe your grandma planted those.
No, I know she didn't plant them. I know she didn't. She wouldn't even know what it was. But I was like, oh my God, I got birch trees.
That is really cool.
And that kept coming in, like birch trees. Oh, wouldn't it be nice that, like, or whatever. And this is the example, is like, you're not
great analogy.
You're not listening to your intuition when you're hearing something, or all of a sudden you just got to wait until you get that epiphany. You have to be patient and wait till you get the dream that says, buy a chainsaw. And boom, I get out there, and what do I find? Dang, right?
Dang. You got to be patient. This is a time of the patient pause.
Yes, the patient pause, putting your life on hold and embracing the new normal, whatever that's going to be for you.
Yes, whatever that is.
So it is about, coming into your breath. This COVID-19, it's taken the breath away. Well, we got to come back into our breath. So what I'd like to do, if you're willing, is to talk about like a little exercise. This is kind of like a yogi pranayama exercise. It's very simple, and it just teaches you and reminds you there's 3 parts to breathing.
And it's so important to breathe.
Because the other thing too, it allows in spirit.
Yes.
It allows in, and it allows you to, your central nervous system, everything to calm down once you start to follow your breath. So this little exercise is really simple. All it is, all I want to teach you is about your breath. And to make sure that you're actually breathing a full breath. And during times of, say, you feel stressed or anxiety, where is your breath? Is it a full breath, or is it just your partial, like one chamber of your lung system that you're breathing in? So years ago, how I learned this was taking, I was going to a Reiki practitioner, and she would, and at the time I wasn't breathing properly. I was shallow breathing, meaning only breathing in the top quadrant of my lungs, meaning the upper part of my lungs. It was like I was breathing like, if we all, this is the exercise, we're going to just put our hands on the top part of our chest. This is our heart, our high heart too. Yes. And as you breathe, just breathe in through the nose, and then do you feel your chest right here rise a little bit?
I really do.
And then as you exhale, it drops down.
Well, do you breathe through your mouth or nose?
You can breathe through the nose and then exhale through the mouth.
Okay.
And I mean, like, in pranayama, they say, take count of 4, breathe in, count of 4, but we're not even going to go there yet. All right. It's just about you feeling where your breath is. And just as you breathe through the nose, just notice what is happening to your physical body.
So peaceful.
You feel your chest rise a little bit. And then as you exhale, you feel it fall. Now, if you can't feel that, close your eyes and just follow your breath and keep your hand here. right up by the clavicle. That's where you want to hold your hand for those listening and not viewing.
I know. And if you're driving, don't close your eyes.
Yes, and I meant to qualify that. Yeah, don't close your eyes if you're driving.
Yeah, wait till you get home.
So then the next part is coming around, placing your hands by your rib cage, like just right at your sides, right on your ribs. All right. So as you're breathing, now you'll just, inhale through the nose. You'll feel the top part of your chest lift up and down. But then now what do you feel? This expansion, like an accordion, it's going out and in. Okay, so there's a lot happening here with one breath, right? One inhalation and exhalation. You're here, and then as you exhale, you contract, and your rib cage becomes closer to the spine. So you exhale, goes out. So now you have this up and down motion, and now you have this out to the side. So it's a up and down, and then horizontal, like an accordion. Now, if you can bring your hand to your belly button or your navel. Okay. And so as you inhale, now if you want to have the other hand at the top of the heart, because you only have two hands, we don't have a third or fourth. I'm a goob, I know. So as you inhale through the nose, inhale. Now make sure you pull, this is where I wasn't breathing right, pull the oxygen all the way down to the belly and push the navel out. And away from like a balloon, blow it up like a balloon. And then exhale the navel. You can use your hand like and push the navel back in towards the spine. And then as you take another deep breath, the top part of your lungs move up. Your rib cage expands out to the sides, and your belly pushes out and away, out in front of you. And that's a true breath. And how you can find this, watch a baby breathe while it's sleeping. You'll see it. You'll see it all. And if you're not breathing like a baby, you're not breathing right. And so this is a way to start. So for your homework, if you're listening to us, it's going to be just follow your breath all day long for the next week. Just follow your breath. Just know, like, am I taking a full breath in? Am I expanding my belly out? Am I blowing it up like a balloon? Is it contracting and going? Am I extinguishing that breath completely? And just try that. And then we'll add more in later on.
Jill, I love this. I just feel so relaxed.
Well, yeah, you come into your breath, you're going to relax, because what happens is you're coming into the moment. You're not in your past. You're not in your future. You're in the present moment. And that's what this pandemic is requiring us to do.
Totally. I love this.
Do you have any thoughts that you like to, shout out there or whatever? Because I think we just about covered everything. I don't know.
We did. I just want everybody to know that we're here for you guys, and we want to know what you'd like for us to share with you to help you on your journey. And, just remember to breathe and
to breathe. Yeah, totally breathe. So on our next show, we will discuss lifting the veil of illusion. That's a deep one. So we can see or perceive our reality with clarity and a clear vision for the future. So that's going to be a deep dive into illusion. And I mean, I got some thoughts on that one, and I know you do too.
And I have something that happened to my eyes that I am going to talk to everybody about 2020 vision.
Oh, I like this. I don't even know what she's going to bring up. Oh, this sounds intriguing. Keep it a secret. I don't want to know until the show.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for joining us in this episode about life on pause, embracing the new normal. So if you enjoyed this show, please leave a review, because, it helps people find the show. It gives us some feedback. And on the review, mention this show and how it might have inspired or motivated you. and then never miss an episode. You know, we're getting set up, people. You know, you can
Doing this.
yeah, we're doing this. You can by remembering to subscribe or download on iTunes, and then you can follow us at facebook.com/Evolve360Life. This is
Cheli.
Shell. You gotta get that one down. Let's get it in sync, okay? So I'm
Ready?
gonna say, this is
The Cheli.
Shell. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Have a great one, everybody. And don't forget to breathe.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Oh my God, it was a blast. I love doing this with you.
Me too.
So this episode was sponsored by Evolve Bootcamp, a functional fitness program that delivers a sense of warmth, friendliness, and spirit, along with butt-kicking, hellishly fun-filled workouts that embody a caring attitude. Class begins at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, now on Zoom. And mention this podcast, and you can try out a trial class if you dare to evolve. You can find us at evolvebootcamp.com.
And this episode is sponsored by Power Up Performance. And we have an online platform that we've now gone totally virtual on presentation, communication. If you want to magnetize your clients, create action, and bring profits online through the power of communication. And words are charged with energy. So are you using the right words? Well, if you're not, we're here to help. So you can follow us on CheliGrace.com. And we also have a Facebook group, which is Transition 5 Online. So join us so that we can share your words with the world.